The war had lasted for many years. The Valdari Empire, a proud and powerful alien race, fought against the humans from Earth. Both sides wanted control of the stars. The battles were fierce, and many lives were lost. But no one had lost more than King Zorith, ruler of the Valdari. His daughter, Princess Thalira, was not just his child. She was a great warrior. She was strong, brave, and smart. Thalira believed in peace, but knew sometimes war was necessary. She led many secret missions against the humans to protect her people. One day she received a dangerous mission. A powerful human battlecruiser was moving near their borders. The ship was large and heavily armed. If it reached Valdari space, it could start a new attack. Thalira's orders were clear: stop the ship at any cost. She prepared her squadron of fast fighters. The Valdari pilots trusted her. They flew through the cold, dark space with hope and fear mixed in their hearts. The human battlecruiser was waiting for them. It had a strong shield and many guns. The fight was brutal. Lasers crossed the void. Explosions lit up the black sky. Thalira's fighter was quick and agile. She used every skill she had learned since childhood. But the humans were not weak. They had weapons that the Valdari had never seen before. In the middle of the battle, Thalira's ship was hit. Alarms screamed inside her cockpit. Smoke filled the cabin. The engines started to fail. She knew she could not win. Her last hope was to escape in an emergency pod. With steady hands, she pressed the release button. The pod separated from the burning ship and flew away fast. Her last view was of the battlecruiser firing a powerful blast. Her fighter exploded behind her. The pod shook violently as it entered a small, unknown system far from the war. Thalira closed her eyes, expecting the worst, but the pod did not break. It slowed and landed on a small, barren moon. Inside, Thalira was unconscious. She did not know what would happen next. Far away, on the Valdari homeworld, King Zorith received the news. They found the wreckage of the fighter. They found no body. The kingdom declared Thalira dead. The king felt his heart break. For days he sat alone in his chamber, staring at her empty chair. He wore his crown like a weight. The war seemed darker now. The Valdari soldiers grew angrier. They shouted for revenge against the humans. But King Zorith only wanted peace. He prayed for his daughter's safe return. Meanwhile, the small pod sat on the cold moon. Days passed. Thalira slowly woke up. Her body ached, but she was alive. She opened her eyes to strange stars above and cold silence around. She tried to call for help, but her comms were broken. She was alone, but luck was not finished with her yet. Not far from the moon, a small human freighter flew quietly. Captain Elias Ward was a simple man. He did not like war. He was a trader, an explorer. His ship was old, but his skills were sharp. He scanned the moon when his sensors picked up a weak signal. Curious, Elias landed near the pod. He opened the pod hatch and found Thalira inside. She was covered in dirt and blood, but breathing. Elias knew she was not from his people. He gently lifted her into his ship and began to care for her wounds. Thalira was wary, saw the human's kind eyes, but did not trust him. She kept silent, watching him carefully. Elias spoke softly, telling her he meant no harm. Days passed on the small ship. Thalira's strength returned. Her body healed, but her mind was restless. She thought of her father, her home, and the war. She wanted to return, but did not know how. Elias shared stories of Earth and the humans who wanted peace. Thalira listened, surprised by his words. Could the humans be different than she thought? One night, as stars shone outside the window, Elias asked, "Who are you really?" Thalira looked at him and said quietly, "I am Princess Thalira of the Valdari Empire." Elias was shocked, but kept his calm. "Your people think you are dead," he said. She nodded. "If they find me, it could mean war. Or worse." Elias made a choice. "I will help you, no matter what." For the first time, Thalira felt hope. She was not alone, but danger was still near, unknown to them. Spies watched the moon. The humans and Valdari Both wanted the princess for power, or peace. The war had made many forget the cost of hate, but in a small ship, a human and an alien princess began a new story. A story that could change the fate of the galaxy. The cold stars twinkled silently outside the small human ship. Inside, the air was quiet but tense. Princess Thalira sat near the ship's window, her eyes fixed on the endless black space. She still wore the scars of battle, both on her body, and in her heart, Captain Elias Ward watched her carefully. He had seen many things in his life, but never an alien princess, especially one from the enemy's side. At first, neither of them spoke much. Thalira was proud and cold. She kept her guard up. Elias was patient and calm. He knew she needed time. Days passed in silence. Thalira learned to trust Elias slowly, gave her water, food, and medical care. More than that, he shared stories. Of Earth, of people who dreamed of peace. One day the ship's sensors suddenly beeped loudly. Elias rushed to the controls. "We're not alone," he said. Thalira's eyes narrowed. "Who is it?" "Bounty hunters," Elias answered grimly. "They want you alive or dead." Thalira's heart raced. She stood quickly. "We have to hide." Elias nodded. The ship changed course toward a nearby neutral planet, a place where both humans and aliens sometimes found refuge. The planet was rough and wild. Its surface was covered with rocks, small forests, and wide deserts. It was far from the front lines of the war. Elias landed the ship near a hidden valley surrounded by tall cliffs. The valley was quiet, almost like a secret world. Together, Elias and Thalira prepared to survive. They knew bounty hunters would come looking. At night, they sat around a small fire. Thalira looked at Elias carefully. "You are not like the others," she said. Elias smiled. "I'm just a man trying to live." She frowned. "You come from the people who started this war." "Yes, but not all humans want war," Elias replied. "Some want peace." Their eyes met. In that moment, a small bridge of trust began to form. Suddenly, strange noises echoed from the cliffs. Shadows moved quickly. "Bounty hunters," Elias whispered. Thalira grabbed her weapon, her hands steady. They fought bravely side by side. Thalira's skill and Elias's quick thinking helped them survive the attack. When the hunters fled, Thalira looked at Elias with new respect. "You saved me," she said softly. He shrugged. "I just did what was right." Days turned into weeks. Thalira and Elias learned much from each other. She told him stories of Faldari culture of honor, strength, and duty. He told her of Earth's many people, some kind, some cruel, but many. Hopeful slowly, Thalira dropped her guard. She laughed for the first time in years. Elias enjoyed hearing her smile, but danger was never far. Bounty hunters and spies were always searching. One day, as they explored the valley, Thalira saw a small group of children playing. She remembered her own childhood. A soft feeling grew inside her, a wish for peace, not war. Elias noticed her. "Change, maybe you belong somewhere different," he said. Thalira looked at the stars. "Maybe." One evening, Elias asked again, "Why did you really come here?" Thalira took a deep breath. "My father thinks I am dead," she said quietly. "If I return, it could change everything, start a war, or end it." Elias nodded slowly. "We must be careful." Thalira smiled faintly. "I don't want more war." Together, they planned their next steps. The ship was repaired slowly with parts Elias found on the planet, but they knew time was short. Faldari ships were searching for the lost princess. One night, as they prepared to leave, Thalira said, "Thank you, Elias, for saving my life." He smiled, "And thank you for trusting me." The stars waited as their small ship took off toward the unknown, toward a future where peace and war fought inside every heart. The small ship flew quietly through space. Princess Thalira sat beside Captain Elias Ward, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. They were heading toward the Valdari Empire, the home Thalira had not seen for many months. Elias checked the ship's controls. The engines hummed smoothly, but the danger was near. Thalira knew the Valdari warships were searching for her. If they found her first, it might mean death or worse. I don't understand, Elias said quietly. Why come back now? If your father believes you are dead, wouldn't it be safer to stay hidden? Thalira looked out the window, her face serious, because my return could change everything. The war is too long. Too many lives are lost. If I speak to my father, maybe we can stop it. Elias nodded slowly. But what if he doesn't believe you? Or worse, what if others want to use you to start more fighting? Thalira's eyes grew colder. There are many in my court who want the war to continue. They see peace as weakness. For the first time, Elias saw the real battle inside the Valdarian, just with humans, but within their own people. As the ship neared Valdari space, they knew they had to be careful. Their ship was small and fast, but no match for Valdari warships if caught. They used hidden routes, moving through asteroid fields and dark nebulae to avoid detection. During the journey, Thalira told Elias more about her family. Her father, King Zarath, was a proud and strong leader. He loved her deeply, but was also bound by tradition and honor. If I return as a stranger, she said, he may see me as a threat or a liar. Elias understood. Then we must prove who you are. Thalira smiled faintly. I have a secret. Only my family knows. She pulled from her pocket a small carved stone. It was a gift from her mother, with a unique symbol of the Valdari royal line. Elias examined it closely. This could help. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped urgently. Contact, Elias shouted. Outside, 2 Valdari fighters appeared. Moving fast and ready to attack, Thalira's heart pounded. We cannot fight, Elias said. We must hide. The ship dove into a dense asteroid field. Rocks the size of houses floated all around. The Valdari fighters chased them, firing lasers that shattered nearby stones. Elias pushed the ship to its limits, weaving through the chaos. The fighters struggled to follow and finally gave up. Thalira exhaled deeply. That was close. Elias nodded. I want to stop you from reaching home. The next day, the ship approached a remote Valdari outpost. Thalira hoped to find allies there, those loyal to her and her vision of peace. As they landed, a group of guards greeted them. Thalira stepped forward proudly, showing the carved stone. The guards whispered among themselves, surprised but cautious. A tall officer approached. Princess Thalira, we thought you were dead. What? Thalira bowed her head slightly. I am here to return, to speak with my father, and to end the war. The officer hesitated, then nodded. Follow me. Inside the outpost, Thalira met an old friend, Commander Varek, who had fought beside her in past battles. Thalira, he exclaimed, you are alive. We feared the worst. She smiled. I am here to bring peace. But Varek's eyes were hard. Peace is a word, but many in the court want war. Thalira nodded. I know. That is why I need your help. Together. They planned to send a secret message to King Exorath. Elias helped, using his knowledge of human technology to encrypt their words. Days passed. Meanwhile, spies in the outpost watched carefully. Some trusted Thalira. Others saw her as a threat. One night, as Thalira rested, she heard voices outside her door. Prepare to capture her, whispered one guard. Thalira's heart raced. Elias heard the noise and grabbed his weapon. When the door burst open, they fought fiercely. Thalira's training and Elias's quick reflexes helped them escape. They rushed to the ship, but alarms blared. Valdari warships had surrounded the outpost. Elias looked at Thalira. We must run now. The ship lifted off just as the outpost's defenses opened fire in space. A fierce battle began. Valdari cruisers chased them relentlessly. Elias piloted through asteroid belts and ion storms. But the enemy was strong. A powerful blast hit their engine. The ship shuddered violently. Thalira gripped Ilias's arm. Can we survive this? Ilias fought to keep control. I'll do everything I can. Suddenly, the damaged engine failed. The ship dropped out of orbit. They crash-landed on a rugged, rocky planet near the Valdari border. Smoke rose from the broken ship. Thalira and Elias crawled out, shaken but alive. They looked at the sky red with the fires of battle far above. "We have to hide," Thalira said. They found shelter in a deep cave nearby. Days passed. They repaired what they could, but help was far away. Thalira's thoughts turned to her father. King Zorith had received the secret message. His heart was heavy with hope and doubt. He ordered his council to prepare for her return. But not all were happy. Some in the court whispered of traps and betrayal. They wanted to control the princess or silence her forever. Thalira knew the truth. Her return was not just about peace, it was about power. And in the heart of the Valdari Empire, storm was coming. The cold halls of the Valdar Palace echoed with heavy footsteps. King Zorith stood tall, but his face was tight with worry. The message that his daughter, Princess Thalira, was alive had shaken the entire empire. For years he had mourned her, as lost in battle, but now hope and doubt fought inside him. In the great throne room, his council waited. Many were loyal, but some hid dark secrets. They whispered of power, war, and fear. Zorith's voice was strong. "My daughter lives. We must find her and bring her home." A sharpened counselor, Loran, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, if the princess returns with a human enemy, how can we trust her? It could be a trap." The king's eyes narrowed. "She is my daughter. I will hear her myself." Meanwhile, Thalira and Elias moved quietly through the shadowed forests near the palace. The land was strange and beautiful, yet full of danger. Every step they took was watched. Thalira's heart ached. She wanted to see her father, to end the war. But she feared his anger, his pride. Elias carried her supplies. He looked at her with concern. "We will get through this together." Suddenly, Valdari guards surrounded them. There was no escape. Thalira was taken to the palace. Elias was thrown into a cold prison cell. The guards accused him of kidnapping the princess and brainwashing her. In the dark cell, Elias heard distant voices. They spoke of trials, punishment, and war. Meanwhile, Thalira faced her father in the throne room. Zorith's eyes were full of pain and fury. "You disobeyed me. You brought an enemy to our home." Thalira's voice was steady. "Father, I came back to stop this endless war. Elias saved my life. He is not our enemy." The king's anger flared. "You are blinded by the humans." Thalira stepped forward. "I am your daughter. I have seen the truth. The war must end." The court was divided. Some cheered, others hissed. The powerful counselor Loran whispered to the king, "Execute the human. Show strength to our enemies." Zoroth hesitated, loved his daughter, but the weight of the empire's honor was heavy. A public execution was planned to prove a point. Thalira begged the king, "Please don't let this happen. Judge Elias fairly." On the day of the execution, a large crowd gathered. The square was filled with Valdari citizens, some hopeful, some angry. Elias stood tall, his hands bound, but his spirit unbroken. Thalira stepped forward and raised her voice. "Stop. Listen to me." The crowd fell silent. She told them the story of her survival, of Elias's bravery, and of her desire for peace. Her words were strong and clear. She exposed corruption among the council, those who wanted war to continue for power. The people began to murmur, questioning their leaders. "King." Zoroth looked down, torn between duty and love. Thalira's courage gave hope to many. She demanded a trial by the ancient laws of the Valdaria, chance to prove Elias's innocence. The court agreed. Surprised by the public support, during the trial, Elias spoke honestly about his actions and respect for the Valdari people. Thalira shared her vision of Pisa, future where humans and Valdari could live together. The court listened. The truth was clear. In the end, the corrupt counselors were exposed and removed. King Zorath pardoned Elias. The war was far from over. But a new path had begun. Thalira looked at her father. "We can build peace together." He nodded slowly. "We'll try for you and for our people." Elias smiled at Thalira. "This is only the beginning." The crowd cheered. Hope had returned to the Faldari Empire. The great halls of the Valdari Palace were filled with quiet hope. After the trial, the empire seemed to hold its breath. The war had torn families apart and turned once proud warriors into weary survivors.
With Princess
Thalira returned, and Captain Elias Ward, standing by her side, a new chapter was beginning. King Zoreth sat on his throne, his eyes softer than before. The weight of ruling an empire at war was heavy, but seeing his daughter alive and determined had changed something. Inside him, "We must end this war," Thalira told the council gathered before her. "Too many have died. We have to find a way to live together." Some council members nodded, while others looked doubtful. War had been their way for so long, it was hard to imagine peace. Elias stood nearby, quietly observing. It earned respect not just from Thalira's friends, but also from some who once called him an enemy. A message arrived from Earth. The humans, too, were ready to talk peace. Both sides knew the cost of endless fighting. Thalira and Elias prepared for the first official meeting between Faldari and Earth leaders. The galaxy watched, waiting to see if peace could truly be possible. On the day of the meeting, Thalira wore the royal colors, but her eyes held the fire of a warrior and the warmth of hope. The halls were full of tension as human and Faldari delegates entered. Old fears and hatred whispered in the air. But when Thalira spoke, her words carried weight. "We have suffered enough," she said. "Let this be the start of a new future," Elias added. "We are not so different. We want to protect our people, our homes." Slowly, the leaders began to listen. Behind the scenes, there were still dangers. Some wanted the war to continue for profit, for power, but Thalira and Elias worked tirelessly to expose these plots. Together, they showed that strength did not come from war, but from unity. Months passed, treaties were signed, borders opened, trade resumed. Families reached out to one another. The galaxy began to heal. Thalira chose not to return fully to the throne. Instead, she became a bridge between worlds. Elias joined her. Together they traveled the stars, sharing stories of hope and courage. One evening, as they watched the twin suns set on a distant planet, Thalira smiled. "We changed the galaxy," she said softly. Elias took her hand. "Because we believed in each other." Stars above seemed to shine brighter. The war that once threatened to destroy everything had given way to a new legend, a story of an alien princess and a human captain who dared to dream of peace. And in that dream, the galaxy found its hope.